good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to the Bloody Disgusting Network. The following show is just horrifying. Beware.
We're gonna carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Micro Queers. It's your whenever the hell we do these things short queer horror roundup, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and yeah, we're bringing the series back to discuss Carter Smith's Yearbook, a short film that I would describe as one that takes a turn, which is not unlike Carter Smith's other short film, Bugcrush.
Yes, he certainly does have a type, doesn't he? And I could read you the logline. It's not particularly helpful. So this is from 2011, and the logline is simply, "Something strange is going on at Rockdale High School." And Trace, what might that something strange be?
Some kind of Cronenbergian STD.
Again, we did say it was a Carter Smith short, so you should have known, really, going into it. This is your own fault, listeners.
Very much so. And I will tell you, there is a reveal that happens in this short, but it's like, it's a blink and you'll miss it reveal until, of course, we get like the barrage of reveals. But
yes.
I watching this, and I was watching it on my little coffee table. I was like, leaned into my computer, and the second Dreama Walker raises her hand to pull her hair behind her ears, I openly gasped.
I know, right? I mean, okay, so folks, if you haven't watched the short, and we're talking like an under 10 minute, I think it's even maybe under 9 minutes, this is, on the surface, very simple. This is high school students posing for yearbook photos. So we've got a medium shot framing. It's basically from the mid-chest up, and they're just kind of like rotating in and out. We're getting a taste of what their lives are like in this small, sleepy little town. Could be period. I was trying to find some kind of hint as to whether this was like 70s or 80s or just retro pastiche. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, the clothes very much screamed 70s to me. All these corn-fed folks from their small little town.
Corn-fed? Corn-fed?
Corn-fed, yeah. I honestly have to believe that was actually a fuck-up on her part, but she rolled with it and Carter kept it in. I'm choosing to believe that is what happened.
Oh, a lot of this has a faint glimmer of improv, and I don't mind it at all because it does lend it a sense of authenticity. But yeah, like we're basically just hearing from this barrage of teens talking about their boring, mundane lives, and then it switches to them talking about their sex lives and what they're up to. They're telling stories about the time they lost their virginity, and it's kind of mundane, but also interesting, eavesdroppy kind of stuff.
I love that kind of shit, though. I mean, like, I know it sounds kind of pervy or creepy to be like, I love hearing people talk about their sex lives, but like, I always find that that's such a really quick way to get to know someone. Obviously, if they're consenting to the conversation.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love talking to people about their sex lives, and so watching a movie but short, where it's just people staring at the camera, there's no dialogue. This is all monologuing. And it is just, them talking, being open about their sex lives before we move into this STD thing.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I mean, why are we bringing back the micro series with this one? What about this scream to you? Let's cover me.
Joyce is like, you foisted this upon me. Why are we doing this? What's going on? I'm so confused.
And all you had to do was say Carter Smith, and I was sold. Because everyone, of course, if you don't remember, he was our guest on our episode on The People Under the Stairs. We've also got a really good interview with him on our YouTube channel, so go check that out. And we also covered his Into the Dark entry, Midnight Kiss, for the Patreon. So
correct, yeah.
He might as well be a fucking co-host at this point.
Look, we're just saying that we're big fans, and Carter Smith, we want to see your new fucking movie really, really bad.
Ooh, and we covered The Ruins, too, just without him.
This is true, yes.
But no, this is great. I actually didn't realize it was 2012, you said? 2011?
2011.
God, see, he uploaded it to Vimeo in 2019, so I was like, oh, this is so good. Dreama Walker is, like, doing work now, and... No.
But you did ask a question, and I shifted, so
Go ahead.
I will come back and answer it. The reason that we're doing this, I mean, there's no particular reason why now, but I will say that in preparation for our interview on the YouTube, because we were covering the anniversary of Bugcrush premiering at Sundance earlier this year, and I just happened to be on his website, and I noticed he's got 2 motherfucking shorts on there that I had never seen before. So this is one of them. There's another one about a sex worker that goes badly, and shockingly enough, there's some body horror in there as well. And I was really taken with this one because it feels so different from a lot of the other shorts that we have covered. This, as you said, it's almost not even a narrative because it's a bunch of different monologues. Like, the editing is just straightforward, the static shots, the medium framing, it's so simple it almost should be boring and ineffective, and yet I think you even said, like, it takes a twist, it takes a turn.
Well, I almost agree with you where you're like, yeah, it's not really a narrative, but in these 9 minutes, we do have a pretty typical 3-act structure, you know, where we have the introduction, we're kind of getting to know why the kids are doing this, and then we move into this next conversation. This Act 2 is this bridge between, like, the innocent beginning and the not so innocent end.
Right.
And then Act 3 with, this is just the big reveal.
The big reveal.
It doesn't, like, I mean, it is a short, and I've said this before, where I ended this and I was like, please keep going. Like, I wanted to watch more of this. And I hate that I don't get to, but it was in the good way, right? Not where it's like, oh, I wish it was more because I didn't really get enough from this original one.
Well, and I'm interested too, because if we do consider this a period piece, so if this is in fact taking place in the 70s, and that's the visual cues would lend themselves to that, as well as the kind of the descriptions about, like, oh, people don't really seem to be all that knowledgeable about sex, like they aren't prepared for it. It's definitely giving a vintage vibe, and it really reminds me of the very infamous and notorious comic Black Hole, which is about a bunch of teens who end up getting all kinds of body horror because they engage in sex.
Sex. S-E-X.
Yeah. So I love that in this short also the STI is called the bug, because that is definitely what AIDS was called in its early infancy.
Oh, well, I mean, because we also do have a queer character here. I mean, we very briefly get him, but don't we have one of the characters talking about a guy?
Well, so there's a character who's talking about his friend, and he's very disappointed that his friend wasn't telling him that he was having sex. But then we also have Dreama Walker's sex partner eventually coming out, but I'm pretty sure we don't get his confessional.
Oh my god! And see that moment, that moment of Dreama Walker where she says, you know, she has that kind of moment where she's like, "Oh, was it something I did?" That's not an uncommon thing to see, especially in film and narrative, where it's like, oh yeah, like, oh my god, my boyfriend, like, did I turn him gay, blah blah blah. I felt so much for her in these moments, and Dreama, if you don't know who Dreama Walker is, I mean, you may know her from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, which she is great in, but it really is the movie Compliance that cemented her status to me as like, oh my god, I want so much more from this actress. I haven't gotten it, but
it's so disappointing. That film is massive, and yet too few people have seen it, and also it never got her the work that she deserved afterwards.
Oh, and if this, I mean, again, a minute of screen time, if even that she has in this short, it is so, it's just so poignant, and it's so sad, and I weep for her internally during those moments.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the various teens react to their affliction. I like the fact that it presents differently in each of them, so that we get almost a series of rapid fire exposures, and you're just like, oh, wow, okay. And if you think about this as they're posing for a yearbook, and this is like, they each get a snapshot at the end of it, their snapshot is how the affliction presents, so that's the final image that we leave with for them.
Yes, it's so icky, so upsetting.
I love it.
Yeah, it's everywhere, right? Because, like, one girl, she's got it on her nipple. One girl's got, like, spines coming out of her back. One guy just has, like, a bunch of bumps under his eyes. And so, I mean, again, it's a thing where I'm like, well, I get the deal, but I'm also like, I want to know more about this.
Right? this is 100% one of those ones where I would love a feature film, because can you just imagine the parental hysteria? Because I think it's the sort of sassy sexual girl who says, well, now you can't hide. It's visible. Like, everybody can see that you've done it, that you've got it. And I love the idea of like a hysteria surrounding an STI in the same vein as like a Cherry Falls, where you've got a moral panic and you've got all of these parents, you know, hand-wringing over their darling children.
Well, and okay, so good. Let's move into this feature length there, because I would totally watch a feature length version of this. Now, my question to you is this, though. Would you rather have this be a serious horror film, you know, like just handled very seriously, or maybe a bit more of a, not a horror comedy, but more of a black, like, satirical comedy?
I mean, if we're keeping the spirit of the short intact, I think it would have to be the latter, because there is comedy here, albeit it is dark, and some of it is very upsetting. Like the one girl who's kind of mousy and she looks like a nerd, and she talks about how her boyfriend lured her under the bleachers. Yeah. And then it wasn't sex because he put it in her butt.
I mean, even the one girl who's like, oh yeah, well, he did it with me, but that means she has it too. And in hindsight, that's kind of funny. It was like, yeah. Give me that bitchiness.
Fuck you, Becky.
So, I mean, but again, like, I could see it being like a bottle movie where you keep everything in the school during like a day, like, or maybe like during picture day or something. Or is this going to be the catalyst and we move forward from here? Or is this going to be the end of the film, you know?
This is going to be a bit weird. I could envision this as a kind of elephant, like Gus Van Sant's Elephant.
Okay.
Which, that film is about a school shooting. You know, it's basically Columbine, but in another word. Yeah. And you could definitely use the yearbook as the catalyst. So it's the thing that brings everybody in and you start to get them talking, but then you could follow them out and see who they intersect with. So you're getting different subgroups, different cliques and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it just like explodes by the end of the day because suddenly everybody knows who everybody's been fucking.
Okay, now my next question, maybe my final question, who knows? So yeah, is it going to be a fatal disease that kills them? Can it be cured, or is it? Or are they just going to be left with their disfigurements forever?
I kind of like the idea of disfigurement because some of these kids are actually proud of it, right? You can tell that they're like, yeah, I had sex and now I've got the proof. So I like the idea of various people maybe even learning to love it or establishing themselves as different because they have a unique identifier. Yeah. Although it could be that they don't know what will happen, so maybe some of them think it's fatal and they start to freak out.
Oh, maybe. Well, because I actually like the idea of some of them wearing it as a badge of honor, but at the same time, if we're going satire, especially, you're inserting some social commentary in there, I actually think that might have maybe a slight chance of implying more conservative views on sexuality, just because it's like, oh, like, yeah, you're proud of this thing, but it's also like, well, no, actually, no, you could swing it the other way too, because maybe you think the disfigurement is beautiful, it's not ugly, but all the people that are coming down on you are like, no, that's gross, it's ew, you should be ashamed, but you're like, no, I'm not, like, this is who I am.
Ooh, okay. I think definitely that one.
I just did it. Yay, I fixed it.
You got yourself into a corner, and then you got yourself out.
Crawled my way back out really smoothly. My nails are clean.
Lovely.
But yeah, well, no, I really, really like this short. Again, it just goes to prove that I wish Carter were directing more films, or that he, or more anything, really, because now this is the second of his short films that I've seen out of his 3 short films, I guess, and 2 other features, but 3 other features, and I just really like watching his work.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see what comes out of Swallowed, the return of Mark Patton, as well as Jenna Malone. Literally can't wait. No, actually, I guess I literally will wait, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, you literally will wait. You just don't want to wait, but...
Correct. There we go.
Well, until Swallowed ever comes out, which I'm assuming is probably going to be maybe the end of this year. Who knows? We'll be surprised. But nevertheless, I'm glad we got to have Yearbook as a sort of a... I don't know, appetizer, amuse-bouche, if you will. All right, everyone. Well, we can let us know what you thought of Yearbook and your thoughts. And but until our next microqueers, our surprise microqueers, we can cross out the Yearbook.
Indeed, and cross out microqueers.
Atlas Avenue. A long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kennett Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.
Hello, I'm Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.